Good afternoon. Today's Battle Rhythm, Empowering Women Veterans Through Social Network, will be hosted by Jeanette Gillis. Jeanette is the Deputy Director of Community Integration. She is also the lead for America's Warrior Partnerships Network, which provides local veteran-serving organizations like yourself with connections to national resources when a veteran's request cannot be met locally. That's it for me, Jeanette. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Allison, and I would like to welcome all of you to our March Battle Rhythm. We'd like to welcome all of our branch communities, 4-Star Alliance members, veteran service organizations, and of course, all of our guests that have joined us today. On our agenda this afternoon, we're going to be having Sarah Roberts, and Sarah is the head of military and veteran programs at LinkedIn. And we're also joined by Alyssa Vasquez, the Woven Bridges Marketing and Strategic Trainer. Through this session, please post your questions in the chat box so that we can answer them throughout the presentation and during the question and answer time. Also, please feel free to add any information that you would like to be passed on to other attendees with the after action. We'll round off today's Battle Rhythm by breaking into collaborative breakout discussion groups. And today's session will be concluding at 3:15. Today, our subject matter expert, section, I'm excited to turn the presentation over to Sarah Roberts for her to tell us a little bit about herself and to educate us about LinkedIn military program and what they have learned about women veterans. That is awesome. Well, Sarah, I'm going to turn the presentation over to you, and we're excited to learn more about what you all are doing over there at LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Well, so lovely to see everyone today and excited to be here. Bear with me. I had my computer completely reboot and install the new Mac OS, which put me in quite a funk this morning. Let me go ahead and get my screen share going, and I am excited to jump in. Okay, are you able to see my screen? And I'll throw myself up into present mode in just a moment.
Yes, we are.
Fantastic. Okay, super. Well, I will go ahead and jump in. Again, my name is Sarah Roberts. I lead LinkedIn's Military and Veterans Program. And last year, I had the opportunity to work very closely with our insights team to better understand women veterans and the experiences that they kind of face in connecting to economic opportunity. And so I'll go ahead and just jump in. One of the unique things about LinkedIn and the data that LinkedIn has is we're able to identify and understand the barriers that certain communities face during the trajectory of their professional career. And so we started with the Veteran Opportunity Report in 2019 with some hypotheses around underemployment, time at first company, industries. And so what we wanted to understand is the role that intersectional identities have on access to opportunities. We knew we could identify veterans on the platform on LinkedIn. We knew we could identify women on the platform through some high-level insights around name and gender inferences that we were able to leverage. And so with that, the Women Veteran Opportunity Report was born. And so here's just some of the quick things we're going to talk through. But I think the biggest piece that as a woman veteran and as somebody that's worked in this space is when you look around, the perceptions that often exist around women veterans is society oftentimes thinks of men, combat arms veterans, and it isn't very frequent that we think of women. And so when we ask people to picture a veteran, we ask them, what do you see? And oftentimes women are not thought of as somebody who has served. And so that was sort of our idea that we needed to sort of uncover the experiences that women veterans face and start to share that more broadly. Because with the data that we were armed with, we felt that we were best positioned to help understand the obstacles that women veterans must overcome as a result of being a woman and a veteran. So We know that women veterans stay at their first companies longer than non-veterans. We also know that women veterans are studying degrees and are 41% more likely to have a bachelor's degree. We found it really amazing through our data to start to understand that women veterans are coming with STEM-related degrees as well as skills that they've obtained as a result of their military service. We leveraged this in complement with the data from IVMF as well and some of the research that they've done around women veterans. The other piece is that women veterans are 34% more likely to be women of color. And so when you think of adding in that third level of intersectionality, there is a component that is also important to recognize. But I think as we are, LinkedIn is an organization that works with employers that are looking to recruit talent, bring in diverse talent. There is a diverse talent that is STEM ready right here, which are some of the reasons that we felt were important. There were reasons for us to believe that this was an incredible talent pool that we wanted to shine light on and share their story. And so what is intersectionality? So when we think of intersectionality, it's really the overlapping challenges that women face in the workforce as well as veterans. We know that veterans are more likely to be underemployed. We also know that veterans oftentimes take a step back in order to take a step forward, but they get promoted very quickly. And so how does being a woman and a veteran impact your access to opportunities? So we know that underemployment is an issue for women veterans. They experience higher underemployment for a whole host of reasons. And so thinking through that and sharing that, that story is important. And then also understanding how we think about intersectionality. And we can't look at this community and just identify or think of them with one label, but we have to be cognizant of all of those identities that us as humans have and that we share in connecting to opportunities or professional aspirations. And there are barriers that they face. So as we think of the hiring journey, again, we could see this data very well on LinkedIn as we were looking at the gaps in the recruiting process. And it starts really early on. It starts at the front end of the funnel as we think of, women receiving recruiter in-mails, and women veterans are receiving fewer recruiter in-mails. They're applying at a lower rate. And then as we think of them on the job, they're again more likely to take a step back or step into an hourly role, which again exacerbates that underemployment. I think the reason that this was so striking for me is as you start to think of somebody's professional journey and a women veteran who has put on the uniform, selflessly served, gained skills, has professional experience. And when they transition, the impact that that step back has on their professional trajectory in terms of promotions and leadership roles and continuing to grow, but then also the financial loss of income. Because every time you take a step back in order to take a step forward, women veterans are starting off behind their civilian counterparts. And that does have an impact as they start to build out their professional identity and their career trajectories. And this one was really striking for me as well as I started to really dig deep into what is the leadership gap that exists? So again, we've talked about women having to take a step back in order to take a step forward. And so the role that women veterans must then overcome is their ability to transition into roles of leadership. This is an issue for women in the workforce. We oftentimes refer to it as the broken rung. So women will be top performers. They'll be, very effective in their roles. And yet the extra effort it takes in order to fall into a leadership role is much more difficult. And then it's even more difficult when you compound the identity of being a woman and a veteran. And so certainly something to think about as people are supporting women veterans in their professional aspirations, but also working with them to identify careers and professions that will leverage their experience in a meaningful way that will help them overcome some of those gaps that we know exist across the workforce. So this is what got me really excited. I mean, women veterans are this incredible untapped talent pool. And so we know that, they're studying STEM at a higher rate. They're moving into STEM related roles. They report that what they've done in the military is also STEM related. So they're continuing to enhance in this area. They have a higher education and they stay longer. These are all incredible reasons to believe why organizations and companies should hire women veterans. And the other piece that I think is really important for us to think about is, yes, the data does sort of lead itself that it is depressing. It does seem like there are some pretty significant obstacles, and yet when we look at this data, this is an amazing, incredible talent pool. So as we think of our work that we do with employers and with hiring managers and as an ecosystem across the military community, there are some really relevant data points that are worth noting here and in the Women Veteran Opportunity Report, just to continue to leverage as you're working with industry professionals and women veterans as they're hoping to transition from the military into their next play. So this is where I get also very excited because it's the most important piece. It's what can we do collectively as a community to best support women veterans in their professional careers and their career trajectory. Yes, exploring your internal hiring data is the most important piece. It's hard to know how you're doing or how to improve if you don't know where you stand today. And so taking the time to understand what that looks like, either as a support organization, if you're a nonprofit, or an employer that's working with women veterans, or you have a veterans program, you can't treat men and women veterans the exact same. You have to be cognizant of the role that intersectionality plays on women veterans. The other piece is this access to technical roles. As we highlighted in the report, women veterans do have technical skills. And in an era where we are seeing a lot more companies leverage skills-based hiring, there is a tremendous opportunity to lean into the skills that women veterans can bring to that organization, to those roles, in addition to all the other soft skills that women veterans have obtained as a result of their service or their education. And so I think continuing to lean on that as the so what and the why for companies as they're looking to pipeline and build a diverse talent pool for their own organizations. This piece is really important, is including salary and benefits and job postings. We all know that the way that companies write job descriptions and leveling is really hard to understand unless you have somebody on the inside that can translate that for you. But a really easy way to screen in or screen out candidates is by including salary and benefits, because it helps you better understand what that role is paying, and you can understand like the skills that that person brings to the table and if it's a good fit. And so we always promote companies and organizations to share salary, but that's also really important for women veterans to think about during their transition as they are, exploring what's next, but also knowing what their worth is and what they bring to the table. And I think that's where we can really come together as a community to help uplift women veterans. Activate internal allies. It's just as important to land that job, but even more important to create a space internal to that, to women veterans in a way that they understand that there's people there for them. There's an ERG, there's other leaders, other folks within that organization that can help support them as they are looking to grow and they're looking to build up themselves and build out their professional journey internally. It's important to network internal, very important, because we oftentimes see women veterans and veterans come in and land their first job. They do it for 2 or 3 years and they don't really understand how to navigate the next. Also activating other women in leadership roles is super important. And then this last bullet around developmental programs. There's this perception, and I've run into it both professionally as well as other women leaders, women veteran leaders, veterans in general. But they often say, you already have leadership experience, you served in the military, therefore you don't need access to these leadership development programs. And that couldn't be more false. women veterans and veterans overall also need access to those developmental programs, just like people of color or other intersectional identities or identities that face barriers. So again, just continuing to share those opportunities with women veterans and making sure that those are also accessible. The last piece in here, which isn't a bullet, but happy to talk about it more later, is the importance of networking. And we know that where you went to school, where you grew up, who you know, impacts your access to opportunity. And people who have social capital, that share that social capital to uplift others, is wildly important, especially for military members that are already starting out with a larger gap, especially on LinkedIn when they have a network. They're building that network. It's probably very military centric. And so the more that we can continue to cross-pollinate people who haven't served, other women professionals or veterans who have transitioned, with those that are getting ready to transition, the more that we can help close that network gap, help close that military-civilian divide, but also help diversify the networks of women veterans, which will help them connect with more people and share more opportunities that are within reach, so that they can continue to dream big and leverage what's in it for them as they start to explore what their professional dreams are. And so with that, I know that that was just a short high-level presentation, but happy to answer questions or lean on the team in terms of flow and how you would like to move forward.
Well, we did have one question, Sarah, so we're going to go ahead and do that before we move into the next presentation. We've got Hugo asking you how LinkedIn can help with some of the gaps, especially referencing the in-mail statistic.
Yeah, that's a great question. So some of the things that LinkedIn specifically is doing is we have this rich database of veterans on LinkedIn that we can identify. We have a filter in LinkedIn Recruiter where you can search for military members. So if you're a recruiter and you're working for a company and you want to hire somebody from the military community, you can select that filter in addition to a bunch of other filters that might be relevant for that job search. And so we continue to share that learning with the community. I think the gap that exists is that obviously LinkedIn is a marketplace, but we're not directly connecting with every recruiter, every hiring manager, every sourcer that is leveraging a LinkedIn seat on how to best connect with particular segments or communities. There are some things that we've rolled out to create more inclusive sourcing, like removing profile images so that people aren't making decisions based off of somebody's picture. But again, there isn't a way to differentiate gender without, some of the things that you think about, whether it's name or picture on a LinkedIn profile. So I think the best place where we can collectively work as a community is being really intentional on educating recruiters and hiring managers and companies on this data. It takes each of us to proactively share it with women veterans, share it with talent professionals or leaders that we're working with, and arm them with the information that, yes, this is a high caliber, high quality talent pool, and it's often underutilized. I think leading with some of the negative data isn't always super receptive. What I found when I'm working with hiring managers and recruiters, what I found is leading with what's in it for them. And so where we found it super powerful is leveraging, if you're looking to hire more diversity into your STEM roles, here's a talent pool that you could very easily tap into. And oh, by the way, they're 34% diverse. And so learning and leaning into some of that and sharing it broadly across our ecosystem and our community is certainly a really important place to start. I think there's still a lot of work to do in terms of supporting the women veteran community. The last point that I'll make on this is this report came out not quite a year ago, about 9 months ago, and the data hasn't been refreshed since then. But when we launched the report, it didn't get as much traction as the Veteran Opportunity Report did the previous fall. And we put the same amount of marketing effort into it, same budget. Obviously, we launched Veterans Day, Women Veterans Day. The timeline was a little bit different, but Veterans Day is very noisy, which we all know. And so we started to then make some assumptions as to why the report didn't resonate as broadly. And certainly it's probably because there are fewer women that serve in the military, fewer people to pick up. They start to, we could hypothesize a bunch of things, but I think there's still a lot of work to do in terms of recognizing the value and skills that women veterans bring to the table and continuing to communicate that.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for all of that information and that wonderful presentation. Now I would like to move the presentation over to Alyssa. Alyssa Vasquez is from Woven Bridges. I'd like for her to introduce herself and to share a little bit of information about her program.
Hello, everyone. I am Alyssa Vasquez, and give me just 1 second. I want to get my presentation up, make sure I'm all squared away. All right. Can everyone see the presentation? I know everybody's on mute.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, right on. Thank you so much. So as stated, my name is Alyssa Vasquez. I am the marketing strategist for the Women Veterans Network. I am also a 13-and-a-half-year active duty Army veteran, deployed twice to Iraq, once to Afghanistan. So I'm speaking as a member of Woven and then also as a member of Woven staff. In addition to this brief overview that I'm going to be giving everybody with regard to Woven, I am going to also be giving my contact information, and that's more for if anybody has questions pertaining to like higher level questions with regard to data. I want to make sure I'm getting you the best answer to those questions. So depending on what they are, I may not be able to answer your questions on this call, but I'll make sure I get those answers to you. So with that, we'll get rocking and rolling. So first, I promise I'm not going to be reading off the slides too much, but when it comes to the mission, I definitely want to stick to the Woven verbiage. So Woven mission is to provide a unique social network of women veterans to foster connections and build relationships in local communities and across the nation. Essentially, what that means is Woven was created to provide a sustainable social network for women veterans at the local and national level. Peer leaders support Woven's mission by providing a place for women veterans of all ages, branches, and service areas. And it's a place for them to just come together, share their experiences in a supportive and welcoming environment. And then there are follow-on activities to make sure. What we don't want to do is bring women veterans to Woven, have them go through the curriculum, and then just send them out on their own. So pretty much after they complete the program, they'll be back right where they started, just with a few more tools. We want to provide opportunities for them to continue to connect and build that camaraderie and really act as that network of women veterans. So the women, here, let me go to the next one. The Women Veterans Network is a national peer support network led by women veterans, such as myself, for women veterans. As I said before, it is an 8-week program. There are follow-on meetings and activities, but during the 8-week program, peer leaders who are trained by national experts in the Woven curriculum, they conduct weekly groups. Those groups consist of approximately 6 to 8 women veterans. We do try to keep the meetings and the groups smaller, because what we don't want is for any woman veteran to fall through the cracks. And everyone's seen in a group dynamic, there's that one person that really doesn't want to speak up or really doesn't want to share their answers. And we definitely want to respect their space and their level of comfortability, but we also do want to make sure that they're being continuously folded into the network and being encouraged to share their experiences. Each of these meetings, we try to keep to around 90 minutes. It's really important that we maintain the integrity of the meetings and the consistency of the data and the curriculum, not the data, but the consistency of the curriculum, because what we don't want is for one woman veteran to attend a Woven group and then another woman veteran, and then they share their experiences later, and it was two totally different experiences. We want it to really be this consistent flow throughout all 8 weeks. The group content is specifically tailored to the unique needs of women veterans. It's centering around relevant themes, including life transitions, balance, you can see some of them on the screen, stress relief, connections, trust, and esteem. The group experience is complemented by the dissemination of evidence-based resources and information vetted by national experts in women veteran health sciences, and is offered by our local and national partnering organizations and colleagues. Ongoing support for peer leaders is provided by Woven staff, such as senior Woven trainers like myself, and Woven national consultants. So we always want to make sure that we're giving that mentorship, not only to people that join the group, but then as people continue to grow inside of Woven, we always want to make sure that we're showing them what right looks like, and we're providing them the guidance and the mentorship that they need to develop into stronger Woven roles. And then finally, unlike most networks in the peer support space, Woven consists or contains a research component, which includes a pre, post, 1 month and a 3-month follow-up assessment. Those consist of a variety of questions and things that are aimed at increasing support and improved veteran well-being and functioning. The results of the ongoing assessments are used to inform programmatic modifications and contribute to the model of continuous improvement. And I myself personally, I'm sorry if I hit my microphone. I myself joined Woven in early 2019. I became a peer leader in December of 2019, went on to become a trainer in mid 2020. Then at the end of 2020, I was hired, or 2021, I was hired on as the marketing strategist. And just in that relatively short amount of time, I myself have seen the continuous improvement and the tweaking to the different modules and just overall improvement of the program. And then along with that, a little side note, for all of the assessments that our women veterans take part in, for every questionnaire that they answer, they're kind of rewarded for their time with a gift card. So depending on the length of the assessment, they can receive anywhere from a $10 to a $25 gift card. And it's just our way of showing them that we really do appreciate the fact that they would take the time out of their day to help us develop and improve the program. And this next slide, just kind of an overview of the average breakdown of what our Woven women kind of look like. This is just a snapshot, current day and current day's data. So although we're always growing and we're changing rapidly, our Woven women typically range from 25 to 72, racially and ethnically diverse. They've served anywhere from 11 months to 30 years with services in each branch of the United States military. And it's not on there, but one day we will also have Space Force in there. So 2 out of 3 Woven women have deployed overseas, and the majority of those deployments being part of post 9/11 wars or global war on terrorism. Woven has grown exponentially since its first pilot program, which took place in the fall of 2017. Our membership is currently nearing 5,000, and we have groups nationwide, and you'll see a map here in a little bit. We have upwards of 350 trained peer leaders at any given time. People do kind of train out as people, life happens. Sometimes people can no longer take part in it. Their life just becomes a little bit too demanding. At that point in time, we're more than happy to do what we call legacy out. We'll legacy them out, and if they ever did want to come back to the Woven network, they're more than welcome to. In addition to Woven staff, we've also increased our positions of leadership. One of my position being a prime example. We promote typically exemplary peer leaders to the role of regional trainers, and we do have 2 national consultants currently, Kat Corchado and Tracy Rosado, and they provide guidance for all of the trainers and ultimately all of the peer leaders and all of the members. Woven's footprint continues to grow exponentially with more trainings, alumni groups, where this year we're instituting 4 new webinars, and then we do have a national summit. And that's kind of the map. So this is kind of an outdated, basically because of COVID. At one point in time, we had this kind of rule where we would have a pair of no more than 2 leaders in any larger city. And just because we did want to kind of build those little hubs in cities, and we wanted those peer leaders to become the subject matter experts. But as COVID kind of changed the landscape of so many things around us, we weren't immune to those changes as well. So we did start incorporating a lot of online trainings. And because people weren't actually physically paired up, we now have peer leaders in way more locations than are pinned on that map. But those are the main places where we have a peer leader team at a minimum. And as I stated, Woven includes a research component that is designed to test the effectiveness of the program on a number of relevant outcomes, including well-being, social connections, social support, occupational functioning, hope, happiness, and quality of life. The Woven team selected well-validated measures based on their psychometric properties and relevance to the program aims. And then people that are more interested in the data piece, the research is conducted under the oversight of the Boston University School of Medicine's Institutional Review Board, or their IRB. Preliminary analysis suggests that Woven is accomplishing its goals, and it's effective in significantly improving social relations, perception of support, decreasing distress, increasing hope, and increasing life satisfaction. Program evaluation data suggests that each meeting's content is meaningful and adds both enjoyment and value to the veterans' lives, as well as promoting connections with those women veterans. And then beyond that, what we don't want to do is kind of cultivate this atmosphere of an us versus them. So this is not a group that's intended to just, women veterans and you're only going to stick, by yourselves. We feel like in order to successfully reintegrate, we need to fully reintegrate into society in general. So we promote those sort of connections just in every facet of a woman veteran's life. Results also show that the positive impact of the program was noted across a number of important domains. Not surprisingly, this impact was reported most often on mental health, well-being, and relationships. But the majority of the women also noted a meaningful impact in other domains such as occupational functioning, physical health, family life, and recreation. And I can personally attest to that as a member of Woven. So here is, and you don't have to be a member of Woven to sign up for a Woven newsletter, but I would encourage everybody on this call just to check it out and sign up for it. We've got some great information, not only Woven specific information that gets put out in those Woven newsletters, but then also just educational blasts that are not only just important to women veterans, but veterans in general. So here are all of our social media pages. And then as far as Woven and our way ahead, what we're looking to do is, as many people on this call probably have already heard and maybe been a part of conversations, maybe part of previous battle rhythms you've heard through programs like ETS sponsorship, we all really realize that there is that gap when it comes to transitioning from service to civilian or veteran life. And so what Woven is trying to do as our next step or our next frontier is we're expanding our Woven program to build a mentorship model of support that's designed to extend the benefits of the Woven membership to women that are currently in their last year of military service. The deployment of this program, which is called Bridges, it was successfully piloted in 2020 through 2021. I was a part of that. I was what you would call a Bridges guide. Currently, we're refining that so that we can expand it into the 2022 pilot. What Bridges does is it begins with a weekend retreat that's run by Woven trained leaders and staff for women in their last year of service. And it's designed to, one of two things. First, identify service members and their perceived challenges regarding reintegration, goals, expectations, hopes for civilian life, and potential barriers for realizing those goals. And it's very specific to that individual. It's one guide to one mentee, and we're working one-on-one on the things that are important to them and that that they're worried about when it comes to their transition. And the second thing that we want to do with this program is foster connections with women veterans who have walked a similar path. Service women are paired with trained Woven guides. Like I said, I'm an example. I was assisting a female Marine officer transitioning from active duty to veteran life. And I just kind of guided her along the way. And so with that, as they walk with them through that transition, finally, the Woven mentor will also welcome what we call their battle buddy into the larger Woven community and ultimately provide the opportunity to build those connections and relationships with our other women veterans, not only locally, but nationwide. I know I tend to talk 100 miles an hour. Are there any questions, or however y'all would like this to flow into the next section?
I have one. Hugo wants to know how he can get connected, how to reach out to you and learn more or get someone connected to you.
Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to, in the chat, if it's okay with everybody, I'm going to first and foremost put the Woven website. It's just a wealth of knowledge, and there's tons of resources on that page, to include a list of veteran-owned businesses that you can support if you so choose. So I'll give you that information, then also give you my direct contact information in the chat box.
All right. If anybody has a question, go ahead and send that to us really quickly. If I don't see anything here in a second, we're going to move forward.
I just wanted to say a couple of things for the people who presented today. One, Alyssa is on vacation currently in Florida. So the fact that she's doing this from her vacation time tells you the passion that she feels for this topic. And also,
thank you, Alyssa.
Sarah, yeah. And Sarah, oh my God, Sarah Roberts, she is in charge of like the whole entire Ukraine response from LinkedIn. So this has been a crazy time for her. And I totally appreciate her getting, putting this down on her calendar, even though she's really crazy busy. So thank you both. Right. Today.
So before we move on, I do want to make sure everybody sees what Michelle Viola Straight just put in the chat box. She says this summer her organization is breaking ground on a Foreverly house. It will be the first and only home for homeless veteran moms and their kids. So, wow, congratulations on that. We know that when women are homeless, they're often homeless with their children, and that there are not enough resources to help them. So thank you so much for that wonderful work, Michelle, and your group. And thank you for sharing that and letting us know about it. Alyssa and Sarah, thank you for what you've shared today. And I'm going to turn it over to Allison so she can get us started on our breakout discussions. So that's it for me, ladies. Allison, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jeanette. It was a great job as always, my hostess with the mostest. So for our breakout sessions today, we have optimizing LinkedIn profiles. I'm hoping with Kat Ramirez, but I don't see her down. She was here earlier and must have dropped, but I'm hoping the 573 number is hers, but we'll see. The topic number 2 is developing social networks with Sarah Roberts. Topic number 3, engaging the non-engaged. That's a big topic. That was a lot of questions about that with Alyssa. And we have women veteran empowerment. So I pulled Virginia Barnes into this like just a few minutes ago because I was having trouble finding someone to host this topic. And she's such a saint. She agreed to lead it, and I appreciate that for her. So please remember that the hosts are not responsible for telling you everything about it. This is a discussion, and you all are responsible for making that discussion be the best it can possibly be. So with that being said, I'm going to open all rooms. It's 25 minutes, guys. Hey, everybody. We're all coming back. Yeah. Let me see if everybody's back yet. Let's see. I think we're getting there. Let me make sure. Let's see if we've got our groups. It looks like we do. So topic number 1, it ended up not being that big of a group. It was Josh and a couple of other people. So Josh, did you have anything from that group, or did you wanted to share with us in group number 1?
Sure. Just to keep it super short, because we were not on topic because we had a different plan, but that's why we talked about different resources coming from the Family and Readiness Center in Missouri. And we talked about how we might connect that individual to the network. And we talked a little bit about potential legal services. So I know it's a little bit off topic, but whenever we can connect people, we do it. So that's it.
Hey, it's a good thing. Sometimes my topics don't go as planned. Yeah, I always try for the best, but it doesn't always work that way. It's okay. We're flexible. So topic number 2, developing social networks. Sarah, did you or somebody else from your group want to have us share out some key takeaways?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, we talked mostly about just mostly LinkedIn as a social network, and some of the tips and creating company pages and groups, and kind of the advantages and disadvantages of both. And then we also touched on LinkedIn rolled out like a managed power creator program. So for folks that have like a keen interest that are military community affiliated that like to share content, that's something they can apply to. Or if you're like a nonprofit leader and you want to, highlight some of the great work your organization is doing. So yeah, just a few things we were able to cover.
Cool. Is that a link you can share in the chat box for everybody? How it gets? That would be awesome. It sounds like it. I always like ways to talk about each other. It's share how well we're doing and what's going on. That's great. Topic number 3, engaged and non-engaged. I think Hugo is agreed to share for that group. Hugo?
Yep. So we had a good discussion led by Alyssa. Thank you, Alyssa. We came up kind of with 4 areas of being able to engage. So collective get-togethers, trying to create a sense of community by making announcements of all kinds of stuff. I mean, it runs the gamut from just getting together for coffee to talk about professional issues, all the way around. Did I get that right, Alyssa? Am I good? Excellent. We talked about innovative ways. So Artesia talked about just kind of crazy Wednesday wins and just thinking outside the box of getting people to engage. And you're probably not going to catch everybody, but you're going to catch some people, and that's what we're trying to do. We talked also about the necessity for individual connection. I mean, so that's what Travis Manion Foundation has done, to do reach outs, and because that's one of the ways that you can get people really involved is, for lack of a better term, guilt them into becoming involved. But you can only do that if you're actually talking to somebody. And then we all agreed that word of mouth was a very strong way, especially within the veteran community, that people make connections. And so creating that positive word of mouth is great. But then, of course, there can also be negative word of mouth. And so being very careful of that and trying to overcome that. So that was kind of team 3. Did we get all that? Did I get all that right? Right. Excellent. That's what we came up with.
Very good. All good advices, all good topics, all good thoughts. So key points, fabulous. Topic number 4, women veteran empowerment that I begged Virginia to lead. Virginia, did you have someone that was going to share for y'all, or are you going to share for us?
I didn't ask anyone, but I think Matt, then maybe he can finish his sentence if he's comfortable, of course.
So I guess the sentiment we were working on here in Central Indiana is having women networking. We do a really good job of providing resources to all veterans, but to be able to provide that camaraderie, that understanding, that equal footing that women that women provide women, a lot of times has been lacking here. And this guy is not one to start a women's networking group, kind of like the men's mullet group does not go through this guy. So finding the way to empower women to start networking groups, having them come, having them figure out how to do that so they can come and support. That's where you start finding about the MST and PTS and those kind of things.
Yes. Dee, you had asked if you could share a valuable resource. Can you put it in the chat?
Yes. I just wanted to let you know that the Army, the AER, I'm not sure of the website link right off the top of my head because I just thought about it right now, but it's the Army Emergency Relief Fund. They have expanded a lot of the services that they're giving out to veterans or retired veterans or transitional veterans. The services are amazing. I just used that for a veteran this past week. To do some research, I found a way to pay for services that TRICARE did not pay for a young veteran family. And yeah, it was really nice. And they already received the money like within a day. So that would be a great website. I don't have the website, but it's the Army Emergency
Relief.
Relief, yes.
Yeah,
Relief.
I will put it in the notes, Army Emergency Relief. Thank you, Dee, and thank you all for being involved in our breakout groups. I'm going to pass the ball back over, I think, to Caitlin, who is going to close us out. Caitlin, would you close us out today?
Thank you, Allison. So we'd like to thank Sarah and Alyssa again for their informative presentation. Our next battle rhythm will take place on April 4th and it is about advocating for military connected children. We hope you can attend, and thank you again for collaborating and sharing. It is truly each one of you that makes this conversation so impactful. At America's Warrior Partnership, we empower communities to empower veterans, and we hope that today provided you with powerful insight, best practices, new partners, and tools to do just that. We believe communities are best equipped to improve the quality of life for veterans, and our goal at America's Warrior Partnership is to provide community partners like yourself with support to help you deliver quality services. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your day and week.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy. Have a great week.